Hi guys, it's Beth. Welcome. Today I'm sharing with you 5 more cards from the I Heart You January box from the Not Too Shabby shop. And today I'm focusing on some of the ephemera pieces. I think last time when I made cards I focused on gnomes, and now I'm focusing on some of the other fun ephemera pieces. So for card number 1, I have a piece from the Slimline card pack that I just trimmed down to 4 by 5 1/4 for my card mat. I went ahead and die cut out a heart. It's about 3.5 inches wide, I believe. And then I'm using that truck ephemera piece that says "Be Mine," and I'm just going to layer it at the bottom of the heart. And because it's overlapping the heart a little bit, I wanted to kind of even out the truck itself. So I'm just adding a few of the scrap pieces that I had and putting them towards the outside and bottom parts of the truck just so that it will lay evenly. So the box of the month from Not Too Shabby this month was the Valentine's theme with the I Heart You, and as of now the box itself has sold out, but a lot of the individual pieces are left, so those will be linked in the description box below for you. This has been a really fun kit to play with this month. So now that I have all of my little scrap pieces on, I can go ahead and glue my truck down. And then I had used the Valentine Gnomes stamp set and the Happy Valentine's Day sentiment from that. I used that several times throughout this video on my cards, and I had already pre-stamped that out. And so I'm just going to fishtail that on one side and then put it down at the very bottom of my card front. And this is going on an A2 card base, so the card base is 5.5 by 4 1/4. So this first card was a pretty simple card, but it is one of my favorites because of that pickup truck. That's card number 1. Card number 2, I am using the Mojo Monday sketch. It says week 2. The sketches that I use will be linked in the description box below. But here again, I'm playing with 2 ephemera pieces. I'm just layering that little heart there on the front of the bowl. Not sure. It's early in the morning. I'm not sure. I can't think of the word of what the hearts might be in. The bowl of hearts. And again, I have another piece of the Slimline card pack cut down to 5 1/4 by 4 to use as my card mat. And I'm going to go ahead and put that down onto my A2 size card base. And then I have 2 pieces that I'm layering with using the black and white buffalo plaid there. That piece is 5 inches by 3 1/4 inches. And then the second piece is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4 inches. And I decided to go ahead and add another little scrap piece off to the right hand side of that smaller piece just so it will lay flat. And then I took a piece of scrap black cardstock that I had and went ahead and die cut out a scalloped circle. So the scalloped is about 3 inches, and it was the size that fit that bowl of hearts the best. So I added another little scrap piece behind it so that it will lay flat. And then again, I'm using that Happy Valentine's Day sentiment and putting a fishtail in on the left hand side of it, and then we'll glue that down. And then that completes my second card. Next, I'm using the Sweet Sunday sketch number 235, and I'm also using the Fancy Bird Cages stamp set. I haven't used this one yet, so I wanted to pull it out and play with it. So I'm using the You're So Tweet sentiment, and then I used one of the bird cages, went ahead and stamped it on white cardstock, and then did a scalloped oval die cut. I used a piece of the red gingham pattern, and I have a black cardstock card mat, and the card mat is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And so my red gingham layer is 3 1/8 by 4 3/8. And then I have that white piece that I decided to layer behind it, and it is 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. And then that little piece with the hearts and the bows on it, that was just a scrap piece that I had left. I didn't do anything to it, and it's about 2 3/4 by 1 3/4. And then I'm going to tuck in my sentiment kind of underneath that little scrap piece there at the bottom, and I did fishtail that. And then I'm going to layer in my oval at the top. And again, just so that it all lays flat, I'm going to add some scrap cardstock onto the back of that. And this doesn't even have to be a Valentine's Day card. It could just be a card that you want to give to someone to say thank you for being so sweet. So this is probably one of the more versatile sentiments cards that I'm making today. So once I get that on, I can layer my card front onto my A2 card base. And that is that card finished. So for card number 4, I'm using Cards TV sketch number 34, and I'm going to play with the other pickup truck ephemera piece. I have another piece of the gingham print, and it is 4 3/8 by 3 inches, and then I'm going to layer it on another white mat, which is 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. And then I just used a scrap strip from that red gingham. I'm just going to turn it over, and I'm using the back side. And so it is just shy of 1 inch wide, and then I'm putting it on that black cardstock mat, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then I have another oval that I went ahead and die cut and stamped the Happy Valentine's Day sentiment on. And I will go ahead and glue that down to my card. And then again, because I'm layering the truck over the oval, I'm going to add some scrap pieces to the back of it just to help kind of even it out. So I'm using some little tiny scraps that I had left to fit into like where the tires are and like the front and back ends of the, or really the front end of the truck. So once I get that piece on, I can go ahead and layer my truck. And I'm going to add some art glitter glue to my truck everywhere except for the very top part of the truck bed. And I want to be able to leave some unglued space on that truck bed that I can tuck some hearts into it. So I've just punched a bunch of different sizes of hearts from scrap cardstock. And I knew I wanted a large red one to kind of be my focal point, so I'm going to tuck that one in the center of the truck bed. And then I want some of them to like layer in front of that heart, some to layer in back of that heart. So I'm going to try and squeeze that black one in behind it, and then the gray one will be layered in front of it and kind of hanging over the truck bed a little bit. And then I did one white one and then some smaller black and gray, and we're just going to kind of tuck those in, layer them. So this was fun, filling my truck bed with hearts. I think this might be my favorite card, but it was kind of hard. I had several favorites out of this batch of cards, so let me know which card happens to be your favorite. So now that I am happy with all the hearts that I have layered in there, I'm going to add that to my A2 card base again. And then I feel like it needs something else, and so I had those extra black hearts, and so I thought that I would try and scatter those around a little bit. So I fiddle with where I want them to go, and then can just go ahead and glue those down. I think I had the most fun making this one just because I got to stuff the truck bed. But as far as like the actual card itself, I have several favorites. So that card is finished, and moving on to card number 5, I'm actually making a slimline card. So I have one of those sheets from the slimline card base, and I made a white card base that is 9 by 4 inches, and then the slimline paper itself is 4 by 9. So I just trimmed 1/8 of an inch off of 2 sides so that I would have an 1/8 inch border around that red paper on my card base. And then I pulled out 3 fun ephemera pieces that I hadn't used yet and had wanted to play with, and decided to group those together on my slimline. And then I'm just keeping it really simple. I found a scalloped square die set, and so I picked 1 larger size and 2 like smaller sizes that would fit on the front of my card, and then just kind of eyeballed placing them evenly on that red card mat. Again, I'm using that Happy Valentine's Day sentiment and adding it right there on the bottom left underneath the mug of hearts. And then I will go ahead and glue my ephemera pieces down. I don't make a whole lot of slimline cards. I think it's because I just don't think about it. But they are kind of fun to make, kind of a different change of pace. You get to include more on them. And I had actually played with grouping these 3 on an A2 size card base, and it was a tight squeeze. And I thought, why am I trying to squeeze this on? Like, I have a whole pad of slimline pattern paper. So again, it's just something I don't think about very often. So now that I have my card mat on my base, I have those extra white hearts, and I thought that it might add a little bit to the card if I scattered them around. So I started with 3 and then was trying to make it work with 5 and didn't like it. So I just went ahead and left the 3. And then we'll just glue those tiny little hearts down. And that is my 5th card. So here's one last look of all 5 cards that I made. And again, let me know if you have a favorite. I will link the card sketches as well as the products I use down in the description box below. And I thank you guys so very much for your time today, and hope you all have a very crafty day.